Hello, ghosts. I don't know what to call you. On Zoetrope, I can call people time agents, but I don't know. Calling you all dead people seems a little rude, to be honest. But hi, ghostly haunting people. This is going to be our update for February. There's really very little to share. I could share some of the art from the expansion envelopes and stuff, but honestly, I want to hold on to that for a little bit. The camping one is completely done. The horror and space one is mostly done, and then the one for the Five Nights at Freddy's one um, is like in the process of being finished. It's kind of the last thing that Robin is working on for it. I think that I will wait, and each month, like March and April and May, June, and all that, like I'll share the contents of those. So it'll be something fun to look forward to as we head toward manufacturing and shipping. Um, that being said, everything's gonna be done here by the end of February, from the art, to the rule book, to the layout, the box bottoms. So that's going to be really great. We're going to have a really easy movement in March to the manufacturing. Um, the things will get sent to the fulfillment center in April and May, and then things will ship out from there in May and in June. So, yeah, I don't know. It's very simple timeline. We have it all down. Things are going to go great. I'm really, really excited. um, First thing to note is that we still have 5 days left on the Zoetrope Kickstarter. So if you haven't checked that out yet, we have a $20 expansion box for Zoetrope that is going to be featuring over 250 cards, including new cards like Magic. So that if you want to play time agents that have a little bit of magical powers, that will be available there. So definitely go check that out. We have 5 days left to meet our last two stretch goals at 20,000 and 25,000. We're about to break the 20,000 one. I think it'll happen any day now, but I don't know. It's been like really really hazy. The thing I want to do with today's update is just kind of share what the numbers look like. Obviously, Zoetrope isn't done yet, so I'm estimating how much money it's going to make at the end. But I can actually break down the budget fully right now for everyone, so you guys can see where money goes in a crowdfunding project. I had a lot of experience, especially when I was working on the Alleyman's Tarot, which made $1.4 million. I had a lot of experiences where people would reach out and be like, "Ugh, you probably just ran away with your million." And I'm like, I don't get almost any money. And what I found is that it's really hard when projects are very opaque and they don't share what's happening with the money, to understand where the money went. Did they super overcharge for the product and they made hundreds of thousands? Or are they running on like a shoestring budget and very little margin of earning? My general ethos when it comes to projects is to make as little for myself as possible and try to reward project collaborators with me as much as possible. Um, so you'll see when we get into the budget here that a large amount of the money went into the art costs, and none of the money went to me. I made $0 from what we possess or Zoetrope. I think that in time, as I sell the additional copies that we'll have made, it'll even out a little more. But yeah, I don't make much money. So I really like to share like where that all goes. You can see where your money is going. So first of all, of course, we are estimating Zoetrope's earnings to be around 25,000. It's just about to 20,000 now. It has 5 days, and the last 48 hours are usually a big jump. So I think 22 to 25,000 is pretty fair estimate. So together, the earnings will be around 53,000. It'll be 53,600 if Zoetrope makes exactly 25K. So let's talk about how much all this costs. First of all, Kickstarter and card processing fees are about 10%. It can be a little less, but that means we'll lose about $5,300. Then the advertising fees on the projects, and from the failed Take Me to the Dark project. I worked with Polling Power Media, who were suggested to me. I spent about $2,500 with them for their services and for making some of the assets. And I spent about $1,575 for the actual ads running. Backer Kit also did marketing for us on both What We Possess and Zoetrope. Their Zoetrope ads have stopped because they didn't bring in as much as we were hoping. Combined, that was around $2,000 for their services on both projects, both for the money we spent on actually running the ads and money we paid them for their services, and the cut that they make out of any pledges that we get. So at this point, just considering advertising and card processing fees and Kickstarter platform fees, we're down to about $42,000. Then you consider the art costs. Art costs were altogether $36,500. Now, this is a little off because 5,000 of that went to Collapsar for Secret Halls art. And that is not a game that's on either of these projects because it was going to be on the Take Me to the Dark project, and that project flopped. But I had already paid the upfront part of the $10,000 contract, so 5,000 was paid there, and that stupid neon sign. Damn you, neon sign. It works now, but it's not really relevant for anything, so that was 1,000. Just a lot of money going to this. For What We Possess altogether, it's just under $10,000. It was a lot more financially doable because the art is all white lines or white gradients. That's it for the art. And then I put it onto black backgrounds for the cards and the game box and all that. So it was a lot faster for the artist to get the work done. So just under $10,000 for What We Possess, the core game, and the 3 mini expansion envelopes. For Zoetrope, it was a lot more expensive. It will be $21,000 altogether. That was $12,000 to Ricky Lee Benedetto, who redid the core game from start to finish, including card templates. Just all of the design assets had to be revamped, and of course, all the illustrations were full color and fully rendered. And Ricky Lee told me recently, like, I love this project and it's really wonderful, but if I had realized how long it was going to take me, I would have charged more. And I think that's fair. And Milk, who is doing the expansion box, is going to be making about $8,000. So there's just a lot of money in that project in comparison for the art. And that is one of those options where when you make a game, you decide like how much money you want to sink into the stuff. And I decided Zoetrope was worth doing it, and I thought What We Possess had a very particular aesthetic that worked really well for it. I didn't intend it to be cheaper. I just thought that it would look cool the way it does, and it does. So I don't know. I don't feel like I lost anything. Yeah, Secret Halls cost us some money. Then we get down to manufacturing costs. And these are also estimated at this moment because I don't know exactly how many will be ordered or how many I'm going to make because Zoetrope isn't done funding. I don't know how many more people will buy things. And I also don't know how many more pre-orders we'll get for either project before we actually begin manufacturing or shipping. So we'll see exactly how many things get made, but my estimate showed that we're going to be paying just over $18,000 for manufacturing. I'm going to get UPCs, so I have proper barcodes for all of the items, so that as I continue to produce these games over time, I can hopefully get stores to carry them. What We Possess manufacturing is going to be about $9,400. We're going to make 1,200 copies of the core game. We're going to make 500 each of the mini envelope expansions, and we're going to make 200 sets of the pins. For Zoetrope, it's going to be a little less at $8,270 for manufacturing. We're going to make 1,000 copies of the core game, 600 of the expansion box, and again, 200 sets of the pins. I actually don't know if I can do as low as 200 sets of the pins. I'll have to talk to my pin manufacturer and see what the actual lowest number I can do is. Because I want to have cards made for them that the pin sets are attached to that have the game logo on it, and that'd be really lovely for everyone. I feel like it'd be easier to pack for one thing. And Take Me to the Dark also is costing us on manufacturing because I had Take Me to the Dark pins made. As I reach for the pins and realize that these are Zoetrope, and I have so many pins everywhere right now. Yeah, well, there are Take Me to the Dark lips as pins that are really cool, and a publishing goblin in purple neon that was also part of that. I have to produce those because I put them on the other projects. So once you get through all of that, you realize that we have negative $12,362. Um, and at that point, you're like, oh, you didn't make any money. And also, it's a negative number. Um, and that seems like quite a bit of a deficit. But that's because 3,500 of that art budget was paid to Samantha Dow, like, God, I don't know, 5 years ago for What We Possess. I've had the core art for What We Possess for literally like 5 years. The first $6,000 for Ricky Lee Benedetto out of the $12,000 contract was paid with money earned from the Alleyway Oracles, as was the $3,200 for Robin Phelps, who did all of the additional work for What We Possess as core game. When you count that stuff out, the projects altogether come out just barely even. We have about $300 or $400 left over. And in time, Secret Halls will fund its own project and repay the $5,000 that it's already been paid into. And once we sell the extra copies of Zoetrope, What We Possess, the expansions, everything, we'll have made more like $25,000 or $30,000. So overall, the project will turn a profit. It just probably won't be for a while. Thanks to the earnings on my like divination projects, I generally can do this. I can run a project that is barely even covering itself, but it's still a lot and it's still very costly. So I did learn some lessons from this project. Um, and the first thing, of course, that I want to say before I get to that is like, thank you. Um, I've been having conversations recently with people about crowdfunding and what its purpose is. And I think a lot of people use it as a marketing bump or a sales bump for a launch of a project. But so many projects that are on here anymore don't need crowdfunding to exist. They either only make an electronic thing like a PDF or STL files, and it's already made, and they're just using it as a way to sell it instead of a way to fund it. There's also a lot of really big game studios out there that use Kickstarter and crowdfunding models to launch projects that they don't need the money to launch because they have that kind of money and their product will make millions of dollars. And that's really cool for them. But I think this is really what crowdfunding is for. Literally, none of this could exist without you. I wouldn't be able to afford any of this. It barely made its own money. I mean, this thing will only exist in the world because of you. So thank you, Tom. Sit your butt down. But also thank you to you for doing this, for backing the project and believing in it and supporting it. It really does mean a really incredible deal to me. Tom, stop chewing on the microphone. Bad kitty. um, yeah, anyways, lessons learned. I thought this neon sign was going to be worth it. I had so many plans for this stupid thing, and then it arrived late, and the power supply unit was broken. They had to send me a new one. By the time it finally worked, we were halfway or more done with the Kickstarter. And I took a big risk signing contracts with people for Zoetrope, What We Possess, and Secret Halls all before the Take Me the Dark campaign even launched. But I had a lot of reasons to believe that we would not only make the $45,000 funding goal, but we would go beyond it. A lot of promises were made by a bunch of people. And I don't think that they failed to keep them. I think it just didn't work out the way they thought it would. When that project failed, I had to really sit down and think about what I was going to do. So when I launched What We Possess and it made 28,000, I felt really good about that, but it definitely was still short of the 45,000 we needed. So launching Zoetrope immediately after was a really, really good idea, and it worked really well because overall it did make it so that everything broke even. But if it hadn't, I mean, I would have just been out a lot of money and I would have to take out some loans I wouldn't want to. So this is really amazing. Thank you for doing this for me, for supporting this and believing in it. Yeah, let's see. What other fun things are in here? I like to offer fun extras, be it pins, coins, cards, cloths, art prints, or otherwise. These things usually are really expensive. I have art prints down here that you can barely see. It's like this thing and this stuff over here. These are art prints from the normal Tarot second edition. I have had them for years. They will never disappear. I have so many. I have hundreds and hundreds, and they didn't make their money back, and I just still have them. There's so many little fun extras I want to offer in all my projects, but they either don't sell enough or they don't make enough to even justify the manufacturing cost. It's wild. But I did offer the pin sets on this, and I feel good about them, and they did make slightly more than they're costing. So I think that it was worth it. And the biggest takeaway that I took from this project is like, even if I have multiple really cool projects, I can never run a bundle project for crowdfunding. That doesn't work. It feels terrible. I did find that this worked really well, doing one project after another and using them as kind of a bundle, but having separate projects so they can be focused on. I think that worked. All of which is to say, running an indie business is hard, but you guys really do make it worth it. My tarot and divination projects do really good work towards making my business possible, just because they make a lot larger amounts overall. So when there isn't a lot left over, it's still enough to pay me. The games don't yet, but I am hoping that as I continue to work on these projects and I'm transparent and I share what's going on, I make really cool stuff and ship it, that I'll get more and more people interested in the things I'm making. Because I really do want my games to be the thing I produce more of. I want to keep making magic and divination projects, but I really want more time to make them infused with intention and really special. And right now, I feel like I usually have to try to run to the next tarot project to keep my business afloat. So I really hope that over time, the games project can reach that point, and then the divination stuff can, be its own thing and come to exist in projects where I'm really, really excited about what we're making together. So all of this is only possible because of you. I really hope that this gave you a good insight into like where money goes in projects like these. It's easy to look at something like this and be like, oh, you made $53,000. You should be pretty set for a bit. And it's like, no, pretty much every cent of it is gone already. And I didn't end up making any. So that's how it goes, though. That's indie stuff, y'all. All right, this is a long video. This is a long update. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. And I'll talk to you again next month when I start sharing the art from the expansion mini envelopes, and we can get hype about playing the game. It's just gonna be really delightful. So come join us on Zoetrope if you haven't. Check out the Normal Tarot 3rd edition, which I'll link in here somewhere, which is going to be launching in probably March or April. We'll see where that fits best. Oh, and Confluence, the really, really big game project is happening in October. That has been draining all my money forever. You guys have no idea. I am making so many things. I really hope that you'll stick around for all of it. And thank you for being here. All right. Talk to you next month. Have a happy February.